My name is Hazel, and the day my mother died, my life stopped, but not for the reason you think. I always believed grief was the worst thing a person could experience. I was wrong. Betrayal is worse, especially when it comes from someone who calls herself family. I grew up in a small coastal town, the kind where the ocean wind seeps into your bones, and secrets travel faster than the tide. My mother, Alina Davenport, was the strongest woman I ever knew. A single parent, a business owner, and the softest heart wrapped inside the hardest shell. People respected her. People feared her. And most importantly, people depended on her. After my father died when I was 5, it was just me and her. We had rituals, routines, and a small world carved beautifully between us. And then she met her, the woman who would ruin everything. Her name was Cynthia. Polished, elegant, all smiles and silk dresses. The kind of woman who hugs you with one arm and hides a knife in the other. My mother married her when I was 16. I tried liking her, honestly. But something about Cynthia always felt off. A little too warm. A little too sweet. Like sugar hiding poison. My mother trusted her. I never did. The day of the funeral, I stood in front of the hall mirror, staring at my reflection. My black dress felt tight, suffocating. My chest felt hollow. My throat hurt from holding in tears. People whispered condolences I couldn't absorb. The house filled with fake sympathy and colder hearts. And in the middle of it all, Cynthia acted like the grieving widow of the century. She clutched tissues dramatically, dabbed at her eyes without ever shedding a real tear, and accepted people's pity like she earned it. I wanted to scream, but grief chained my throat. When everyone left, she placed her hand on my shoulder. "Hazel, darling, your mother loved you." Her voice was smooth, too smooth. "But now we need to focus on arrangements." "Arrangements?" I repeated, dazed. "Yes, the will reading." My stomach dropped. My heart froze. "Already?" I asked. "Mom just—" "She would have wanted everything handled quickly," she interrupted. No, my mother would never rush something so important. But I wasn't in a position to argue. Not yet. The lawyer's office smelled like paper and polished wood. The kind of place where lives change quietly. I sat across from Cynthia while she crossed her legs slowly, like she owned the world. The lawyer, Mr. Prescott, cleared his throat. "This is the official reading of the will of Ms. Alina Davenport." I inhaled sharply. He continued. "Per Ms. Davenport's last signed will dated 11 months ago. 11 months ago? But my mother got sick only 7 months ago. Why would she update the will before?" My pulse quickened. "All properties, bank accounts, business shares, and assets will be inherited by—" I held my breath. Her legal spouse, Cynthia Davenport. The world tilted. For a second, I thought I misheard. Surely there was a clause, something. "And her daughter?" I whispered. Mr. Prescott flipped a page. "The will contains no provision for a daughter." My ears rang. Cynthia looked at me with false softness. "I'm sorry, Hazel, your mother must have—" "Don't," I snapped. My mother would never leave me with nothing. Not even in her worst moment. The room felt small. My breath shaky. My vision blurred. Something was wrong. Very wrong. That night, I searched my mother's study, her journals, her drawers, the old files she kept locked. I found receipts, business papers, medical documents, but no will. No drafts. No notes. Nothing. It made no sense. I searched deeper until I found a small locked box under her desk. I recognized it. My mother's private box. Her most confidential things were kept inside. And only I knew where she hid the key, behind the framed picture of us on the shelf. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside were letters, photos, and an envelope with my name. I opened it with trembling fingers. Inside was a note written in her familiar handwriting. "Hazel, if you are reading this, then something has gone wrong. Nothing is as it seems, and I fear I won't have the chance to protect you. Trust your instincts. Follow the truth. Start with the date, December 14th. Mom, December 14th? What happened on that day? Why that date?" But I didn't have time to think, because footsteps approached behind me. Slow, measured, deadly calm. I turned around. Cynthia stood at the doorway, arms crossed, eyes cold. "What are you doing with that box?" she asked. My heart thudded. "It's mine," I lied quickly. "Old photos." She smiled, sharp and knowing. "Your mother didn't want you going through her things." She stepped closer. Too close. "And Hazel, she whispered. Don't look for things you're not ready to handle. It wasn't a warning. It was a threat. In the weeks that followed, Cynthia became unbearable. She took over the house. She changed everything, locks, furniture, even my mother's room. She started treating me like a guest. No, like a burden. Every morning she gave me long, poisonous looks. You should find a job soon, she'd say casually. You're an adult now. I can't carry you. Carry me? My mother built everything. And Cynthia stole it. Still, I stayed. I had to. I had to find the truth. Because my mother's note wasn't just a clue. It was a final cry for help. One evening, while Cynthia was out at her charity dinners, fake smiles, fake donations, I sneaked into her room. I searched drawers, shelves, and cabinets. Nothing. But then, the wardrobe. I opened it. Designer dresses, shoes, perfumes, and a locked drawer. I knelt and whispered, "Come on, Mom. Give me something." And then beneath the drawer, I noticed a thin slit, just enough to slip my fingers through. Inside was a crumpled document. A will. But not the one the lawyer read. This one was dated 3 months ago, before my mother got worse. It clearly stated, all properties, assets, and accounts are to be inherited by my daughter, Hazel Davenport. My breath caught. She left everything to me, just like I always knew. But then, why did the lawyer read a different will? Unless Cynthia had replaced it, forged it, stolen my inheritance, stolen my mother's wishes. My eyes burned with rage, and then I heard it. A slow clap. Behind me, I froze. Cynthia stood at the doorway, smiling like a serpent. Well, Hazel, she purred. I suppose the game begins now. Her eyes gleamed with dangerous amusement. My dear girl, you really should have left things alone. She stepped closer. Because now I'll have to deal with you. The air turned cold. My heartbeat thundered. Her smile widened. And trust me, she whispered, I never leave loose ends. Hazel left the house before sunrise, her chest tight with anger and fear as Cynthia's cold smile followed her out the door. The forged will, the hidden document, her mother's warning, everything pushed her toward the only clue she had. December 14th, she drove straight to the hospital where her mother had been treated, her fingers trembling slightly as she asked the receptionist for old records. It took convincing, but eventually she was handed the file. Hazel sat in a quiet corner, flipping through page after page until one entry froze her breath. December 14th, private. Authorized visitor approved by spouse. The name field was blank. Cynthia had brought someone to see her mother that day. But who and why? Hazel took a picture of the page, her hands shaking not from fear now, but from a rising storm. She walked out of the hospital, her mind racing. There was only one person she trusted with secrets like this. Her childhood friend, Ethan, a tech genius who used to hack school computers for fun. She drove to his apartment. He opened the door with sleepy eyes and messy hair. Hazel, what's wrong? She pushed past him, showing him the picture on her phone. I need to know who visited my mom on this date. Ethan scanned the image, then looked up at her face. This looks bad. I know, she whispered. He pulled out his laptop immediately, fingers flying across the keyboard. If the hospital cameras stored long-term footage, I might be able to access their archives. Can you do it? She asked. Ethan gave her a look. You're asking the guy who hacked his way into the principal's love letter. Folder in 9th grade. She actually laughed, a small, broken sound. Minutes passed. Then Ethan froze. Hazel, her heart dropped. What? He turned the screen toward her. Hospital camera footage, hallway view. December 14th, 3:17 p.m. First, Cynthia entered the frame, talking urgently to a tall man in a dark coat. His face was partially hidden by a cap, but he walked with a stiff, commanding posture. They both entered her mother's room. 3 minutes later, only the man walked out, alone. Hazel's blood turned to ice. Cynthia stayed inside with her mother. Ethan. Zoom in on him. Ethan enhanced the frame. The man's face became clearer, and Hazel gasped. She knew him. He was the lawyer, Mr. Prescott, the same man who read the fake will, the same man who claimed her mother left her. Nothing. Hazel's heart pounded as puzzle pieces clicked into place with terrifying clarity. December 14th wasn't random. That was the day Cynthia brought Mr. Prescott to the hospital before her mother's condition worsened. before her signatures mysteriously changed, before the will was replaced. They did something to her, Hazel whispered, her voice breaking. They forced her, threatened her, or forged signatures while she was too weak. Ethan swallowed. Hazel, this isn't just inheritance fraud. This looks like conspiracy. Hazel wiped her tears, anger burning hotter, then grief. I need more proof. Something undeniable. Ethan hesitated. Hazel, if they catch you digging? They won't, she said, standing up. I won't let them win. She left his apartment with the footage saved, determination replacing the fear that once paralyzed her. But as she stepped into the parking lot, her phone buzzed. Unknown number, she answered cautiously. A woman's voice, smooth, icy, too familiar. Looking for ghosts, Hazel? Hazel's heart stopped. Cynthia. How did you... You're predictable, Cynthia said softly. Just like your mother. Hazel felt rage surge through her. What did you do to her? Cynthia laughed gently. Sweetheart, you're not ready for the truth. Then the line disconnected. Hazel stood frozen, the phone trembling in her hand. How did she know Hazel went to the hospital? Was she being watched, followed? She looked around the parking lot, suddenly aware of every car, every shadow, every window. The world suddenly felt dangerous. Very dangerous. She got into her car and locked the doors. Her mother's warning played in her mind. Nothing is as it seems, Hazel now understood. This wasn't just about money. This wasn't just about a will. This was something darker. Something bigger. Something her mother feared enough to hide clues instead of confronting directly. Hazel gripped the steering wheel. You took everything from her, she whispered into the empty car. I'll take everything from you. And for the first time, she meant it. Hazel spent the drive home fighting the urge to look into every mirror, every passing car, every figure on the sidewalk. If Cynthia knew she went to the hospital, she had eyes somewhere. Cameras? Someone following her? A tracker? Hazel parked a few blocks away from the house, unwilling to let Cynthia see her arrive shaken. She walked slowly, forcing her breathing to stay normal, rehearsing a calm face. The moment she stepped into the house, Cynthia sat waiting in the living room like a queen on her throne. A glass of wine in her hand, legs crossed, smile sharp as broken glass. Long day? She asked casually. Hazel didn't answer. She walked past her, heading for the stairs. But Cynthia's next words froze her. Your mother wasn't as strong as you think. Hazel turned, fury rising. Don't you dare talk about her. Cynthia lifted her glass. Everyone breaks. Hazel, even the stubborn ones. Hazel walked upstairs before her rage betrayed her. She shut her room door and collapsed against it, her heartbeat loud in her ears. She needed to get out of this house. She needed to move fast. She texted Ethan, I need everything on Prescott, fast. Ethan replied within seconds. On it. Hazel stuffed essentials into a small backpack. Documents, cash, her mother's note. She didn't know where she was going yet. But she knew staying here meant walking straight into Cynthia's trap. But before she could leave, something slid under her door. A piece of paper. Hazel froze. Footsteps moved away from her room. With trembling hands, she picked up the paper. A printed photograph. Her mother lying in the hospital bed. Sleeping, no, unconscious. Beside her sat Cynthia, smiling at the camera, fingers touching the IV tube. Hazel covered her mouth to keep from screaming. On the back of the photo, a message was written. Stop digging. Hazel felt her blood run cold. Cynthia had this photo the whole time. Why give it to her now? To scare her? To warn her? Or to tell her she knew exactly how far Hazel had reached? Hazel shoved the photo into her bag and climbed out her window, instead of using the hallway. She jumped down the small ledge and ran through the backyard, her pulse pounding. She didn't stop until she reached Ethan's apartment again. He opened the door even before she knocked. Hazel, you look, what happened? She handed him the photo. Ethan's face darkened. This is sick. Hazel paced the room. She's escalating. She's warning me. Which means she's scared. Or she wants you to think she's scared, Ethan replied. She's playing psychological chess. Hazel stopped. What did you find on Prescott? Ethan grabbed his laptop, pulling up files. Prescott's finances are clean on the surface. But the deeper I dig... He clicked another window. This, bank statements. Large deposits. All from the same shell company. All dated around the time Hazel's mother got sick. He was being paid, Ethan said. By who? Hazel already knew the answer. A company linked to Cynthia, Ethan confirmed. She paid him to alter the will. Hazel sat down slowly, a shaking exhale leaving her body. She bought a lawyer, took my inheritance, controlled the hospital access, and now she's threatening me. Ethan looked at her carefully. Hazel, this woman isn't just manipulative. She's dangerous. Hazel stared at the screen, her jaw tightening. Good, so am I. Ethan blinked. What are you planning? Hazel reached into her bag and pulled out her mother's letter. She left clues. If I follow them, there's something she wanted me to find. Something Cynthia doesn't want me to know. Ethan frowned. Like what? Hazel folded the note back. I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. Ethan hesitated. You can stay here tonight. It's safer. Hazel nodded, exhausted. For the first time in days, she slept without Cynthia's shadow pressing against her door. But at 3:12 a.m., her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. One sentence. You can run from me, Hazel, but not from the truth. Hazel's breath caught. Another message arrived immediately. A video file. Her hands shaking, she opened it. The screen showed her mother's hospital room. The angle from a hidden camera. Cynthia's voice whispered, sign it. Alina, or she pays the price. Hazel froze. She wasn't in the frame. Her mother, weak and terrified, whispered something Hazel couldn't hear. Cynthia replied softly, then your daughter suffers. Hazel couldn't breathe. Her mother didn't change the will because she wanted to. She changed it because Cynthia threatened Hazel's life. Hazel felt her heart shatter and catch fire at the same time. She whispered into the darkness, voice steady and deadly, I'm coming for you. Hazel didn't sleep again after watching the video. Her mother's trembling hands, Cynthia's cold threat, the fear in her mother's eyes, it all carved itself deep into her chest. By sunrise, Hazel wasn't the same person who had run from Cynthia's house. She wasn't scared anymore. She was focused, sharp, certain. Ethan noticed the change the moment she stepped out of the bedroom. Hazel, what are you going to do? Hazel picked up her backpack, her voice steady. Finish this. Ethan grabbed her arm. Hazel, she's dangerous. That video proves she's capable of anything. And she took everything from my mother. Hazel replied. I'm taking everything from her. Ethan hesitated, then said, at least let me help. Hazel shook her head. You've done enough. If she finds out you're involved, too late, Ethan said, showing her his screen. Several failed login attempts to his encrypted system. Someone tried to breach my network last night. She knows I'm helping you. Hazel's stomach tightened. Ethan, I'm not backing out, he interrupted. Tell me the plan. Hazel took a deep breath. Prescott. He's the key. If we take him down, the whole thing collapses. Ethan nodded slowly. You think he'll talk? Not willingly. But he'll slip, Hazel said. Men like him always do. And so they drove to Prescott's office building, a tall glass tower that reflected the morning sun like a blade. Hazel entered alone while Ethan waited in a cafe across the street with his laptop open, ready to back her up. Inside, Prescott's secretary tried to block her, but Hazel pushed past her and stormed into his office. Prescott looked up from his desk, startled. Hazel? You can't just walk in here. Hazel threw her mother's letter, the hospital footage screenshot, and the bank statements onto his desk. The color drained from his face. How did you? Sit down, Hazel said, her voice low and deadly. Prescott sank into his chair. Hazel leaned closer. You're going to tell me exactly what Cynthia forced my mother to sign. And you're going to tell me what she threatened her with. Prescott swallowed hard. Hazel, she'll kill me. And what do you think she will do to me? Hazel snapped. Prescott looked at the papers again, panic rising in his eyes. She threatened your mother. She said if Alina refused to change the will, she would accuse her of medical negligence for not reporting a case years ago. Said she would drag her name through the mud. She pressured me to draft the fake will and sneak it into the hospital for her to sign. Hazel leaned in. And the video? The threat against me? Prescott looked down at his trembling hands. Your mother begged. She said she'd sign anything if Cynthia promised to leave you alone. Hazel felt. Tears sting her eyes, but anger burned hotter. So you did all this for money? Prescott closed his eyes. I didn't have a choice, Hazel whispered. We always have a choice. Before Prescott could respond, A shadow appeared in the glass reflection behind him. Hazel froze. Cynthia, standing at the doorway, smiling. You always were dramatic. Hazel, she said, stepping inside. Digging through hospital files? Running around with that little hacker friend of yours? How exhausting. Prescott shot up. Cynthia, please. Shut up, she said, not even looking at him. Her eyes stayed on Hazel. You think you've won something here? You think uncovering a few files will bring your mother back? Hazel stood firm. No, but it will destroy you. Cynthia laughed softly. Destroy me? Sweetheart, I built everything. I control everything. Hazel didn't flinch. Not anymore. She pressed a button on her phone. Ethan's voice came through the speaker. Everything's uploaded. Cynthia's smile faltered. Hazel continued. The video. The bank statements. Prescott's confession. Hospital footage. They've been sent to the police, 3 law firms, and the press. Cynthia's face changed instantly, rage mingled with panic. Prescott staggered back from them both. You said this would stay quiet, he whispered. Cynthia ignored him. She lunged toward Hazel, but Hazel stepped back just as building security burst through the door. Prescott pointed at Cynthia immediately. It was her. She orchestrated everything. Cynthia screamed at him, You traitor! The guards grabbed her arms, pulling her back as she shouted Hazel's name like a curse. Hazel stared at her, calm for the first time. My mother trusted you, Hazel said quietly. And you destroyed her, Cynthia spat. She was weak. Hazel shook her head. No, she was strong, and she saved me until her last breath. Cynthia was dragged out, still thrashing, still screaming threats. Prescott was escorted out next. Hazel stood alone in the office, breathing shakily but freely for the first time. Hours later, Hazel returned to Ethan's place. He opened the door with a cautious smile. It's done? Hazel nodded. For the first time in months, she felt the crushing weight of loss. Not anger, not fear, but grief. Ethan pulled her into a hug. Your mom would be proud. Hazel closed her eyes. I hope so. Over the next weeks, investigations tore through Cynthia's shell company, Prescott's accounts, and the fraudulent will. Everything unraveled. Hazel inherited what her mother originally left her. Not just the estate, but her mother's journals, letters, and everything she had protected. One afternoon, Hazel sat on her mother's favorite bench in the garden, holding the original handwritten will Ethan had helped recover. The sun was warm, the garden quiet. She whispered, It's over, Mom. A soft breeze brushed her cheek. And for the first time, Hazel let herself cry, not from fear, but from release. Cynthia had taken everything from her mother, but Hazel had taken everything back. And she would live the rest of her life knowing one truth. Her mother didn't die helpless. She fought until the end to protect her daughter. Hazel whispered into the wind, I finished it for you.